In 2022, a $4 million Russian tank was destroyed. The weapon that killed it? $400. And that's when the entire world realized the rules of war had just changed forever. For centuries, one rule defined military power: whoever spends more wins. Fighter jets cost $100 million each. Aircraft carriers cost $13 billion. One Patriot interceptor missile costs between $3 and $4 million per shot. Governments built entire strategies around this gap. If war is expensive enough, only the richest survive. Simple, logical, and for a long time, true. But while superpowers were spending trillions maintaining that gap, someone else was closing it. Not with bigger weapons, with cheaper ones. The math was always staring everyone in the face. Your interceptor missile costs $3 million. Their drone costs $400. They launch 200 drones. You shoot every single one down. Congratulations, you just spent $600 million stopping $80,000 worth of machines. Do that 10 times, and the richest army on Earth goes broke. Military analysts saw this coming a decade ago. Reports were written. Simulations were run. Experts warned governments directly. Once drones become cheap enough, traditional defenses will be overwhelmed. But billion-dollar defense industries do not change overnight. Governments kept buying jets, kept building carriers. The warnings were filed away, marked theoretical. Then, September 14th, 2019, Houthi rebels, a militia from one of the poorest countries on Earth, launched a coordinated strike on Abqaiq, the single largest oil processing facility on the planet. Saudi Arabia's oil production was cut in half overnight. 5.7 million barrels per day temporarily disrupted. About 5% of the world's oil supply knocked offline in a single night. Not by a superpower, not by an air force. By drones that likely cost less than a used car. The world's most advanced air defense system stood there and watched it happen. 3 years later, Ukraine. Russian tank crews rolled in expecting a quick victory. What they didn't expect was the sound. A faint buzzing high above. FPV drones, $300 to $500 each, modified in small workshops by volunteers. By the time the crew heard it, it was already over. Footage flooded online. Tanks hit from above. Convoys cut off before reaching the front line. Russian generals trained for decades in conventional warfare. They had no answer. Here's why. It wasn't one drone. It was 50, simultaneously, from every direction. Radar wasn't built for this. It tracks fast jets and ballistic missiles, not a swarm of small, low-flying objects moving in unpredictable patterns. So defenders faced an impossible, real-time choice. Which ones do I stop, and which ones do I let through? This became known as drone swarming. A swarm doesn't need to be accurate, it needs to be overwhelming. Send enough, and some always get through. The math always wins. By 2023, both sides were launching thousands of drones per month. Commanders admitted publicly what no doctrine had prepared them for. We cannot intercept every drone. We do not have enough missiles. We are losing ground to machines that cost less than a smartphone. Meanwhile, in the Red Sea, Houthi rebels with no air force, no navy, and no conventional military power began targeting international shipping lanes. Major companies rerouted entire fleets. Weeks of delays. Hundreds of millions in losses. One of the world's most critical trade routes held hostage by machines assembled in basements. Defense contractors are racing to respond. Laser weapons, AI radar, electronic jammers. But every time a new defense emerges, drones get smaller, quieter, and smarter. The offense is always one step ahead. Wars don't begin with explosions, they begin with warnings. The drone revolution had loud ones, early ones. And the world looked away. The most dangerous weapon on Earth today isn't nuclear. It isn't hypersonic. It isn't even particularly advanced. It's a $400 machine built in a garage and flown by someone who never sat in a war room. War didn't become cheaper, it became accessible. And that changes who gets to fight and who gets to win.